Armenian momentum was unstoppable. Their network of puppet rulers now extended from Europe to Iran, from the steppes to the Red Sea. The kingdom itself was surrounded by a crowd of bodyguards, now untouchable, and rapidly growing rich beyond all imagination. Armenian armies stomped around in Egypt, in Greece, in Bactria. It seemed their ambitions were not yet met. This was the will of Mann, the man who had stolen the king's body through guile and sorcery. Perhaps his ambitions were too lofty, though.
You fool! You should have taken those spines away from me. Now I have gained so much power that I do not need a master. I shall be the one true servant of Pandora. And look here, I've got your spine as well. Finally I can perform the ritual and become immortal. Yes, I just have to connect the cords. Connect the cords. Connect the cords. Oh, did you feel that? A pulse of life. A pulse of power. It's starting. Pandora, can you hear me? I am your servant, the man who needs no name. Gift me eternal life, so that I might search out your gifts at the end of time. Yes, I can feel your power, my lady. Oh, yes, yes. Time is convoluting. The bounds of mortality are undone. The world trembles as a new god is born. Yes? Yeah?
Lord King! Oh, wait, it's dying away. Earthquake. Thought we were in trouble.
No trouble at all. In fact, it was all exactly according to my plan, Mithridates, my friend.
Mithridates? You knock your head, my lord. It's me, Bakru.
Ah, so much has changed. Please, tell me what you call me, General Bakru.
You? Well, I dare say I should be calling you exactly what you make everyone call you. The Chosen King, known only as the Mysterious Man.
Yes!
Hello and welcome to Wings of Eden, where we're now in a slight parallel universe because I had to rebuild the save after it proved untenable. So I went back 6 or 7 turns and then played to roughly the same place using some cheats to make it happen a little bit easier. You can see we've ended up with a few differences. We don't have some of the territory that we did have from Bactria previously, so we have to take a couple of extra settlements there, or retake them really. But Mann is still at roughly the same place he was before, pushing into Bactrian home territory, and here we are setting up just such a siege. Not all that much on the inside, but the balance bars still giving the enemy a little bit of power there. Now, one major thing that happened is that Mithridates actually died for some reason. He just died of natural causes at 40 during the rebuilding of the save. So we've now got a new guy called Bakru who looks the same as Mithridates, and for our canon he is Mithridates, just an effect of Mann spell. You might have also spotted there, I'm going to marry Mann into the royal family, because our royal family is just absolutely annihilated right now. There are no males left in it, and a lot of the female members actually aren't visible because they're stuck in the other half of the family, which is now part of the Median ruling dynasty, the Atrapatkans. So it's just all a big mess. Now here is Bakru, the guy in question. He's over here where previously I was going to fight Carthage over Egypt, but in this parallel universe Carthage isn't here, so we'll come back to that in a second. We can still get some action going. We're also still over here with Arsukia fighting against the Illyrians. I couldn't retake the settlement that I had taken in my original timeline, just because the hacks I was using to cheat my way forwards only let you take a free victory if you actually have an advantage in the battle and can win the auto-resolve. So, long story short, nothing happened there. I decided to call off this fight to avoid the series just having the same fight over there happen twice in a row. And we'll just go back and look into that situation later. It's not exactly an important part of the campaign, the whole Illyrian thing. Let's try and do something else first. The plan to marry Manua-Kapi into the family has succeeded, so there he is. He's not the ruler or the heir, because our ruler and heir actually aren't in the tree due to the whole Atropatkan dynasty crossover thing. And in fact, I don't even really know who they are at this point. One thing we can do is make Manua-Kapi the heir, so whenever whoever our faction leader is dies, I think it's a baby somewhere in the Atropatkan line currently ruling through our regent, which is our queen, who is occasionally mentioned on the diplomacy screen, although she's always portrayed as a man, which is Esarhaddon's ex-wife, I think. Are you following all this? Doesn't matter anyway, and as you saw, I'm going to adopt Bakru into the family as well to restore ex-Mithridates' ex-royal power. Now what I want to do with Bakru is attack Alexandria. If Carthage isn't going to do it, I'm going to do it and start making the buffer in this region. In order to do this without calling in the Egyptian nobles to the war as well, I can use the fact that Tash-Shamu, who control Alexandria, are currently at war with one of my puppet states, so we can simply cite that the coalition needs to defend its own members and immediately declare war with no allies getting involved. For some reason, the balance bar here is really bad. The forces inside don't look that powerful, but according to the game, this is going to be a really hard capture. Didn't trust that balance bar, so we'll just start setting up the siege equipment ready to try it anyway. Here I'm using Narem Suen, one of the new generals who hasn't really done anything in the campaign so far. This is the guy who has all the Roman troops, and I'm using him to conquer that bit of Bactrian territory that we did actually have previously. Now we have it again, and we'll hand that over to the Seleucids, since I'm using the Seleucids as a nice eastern buffer. I want them to control the eastern side of the map, and then hopefully try and make the Seleucids really like me so we can just ignore them for all time. Manua-Kapi's assault on this Bactrian town is ready to go. The force inside, as I said, gets a strange amount of presence on the balance bar for what it is. It's just a few trash spears and archers and then like one or two good units. For whatever reason, I decided to do this one manually, but since this isn't a major battle, I didn't really bother saving the replay, so we'll just look at a few moments from this fight. I sent in some median levies to do the hard work of opening the enemy gate. I've only got 2 rams for my siege equipment. They got annihilated by enemy jabs, but they didn't rout and the ram was moved into position, and they provided a nice distraction. My archers can now sit safely outside the walls just raining arrows down to make our attack nice and easy. For whatever reason the levies formed up in single file, but the ram was ramming and another ram's coming in from the north to make things nice and easy. Soon we'll be in.
Chosen King, my men have completed your orders.
Excellent. How were they then, your little experiments?
They performed well. Their discipline and skill reminds me of my time in Attila without fail. I will show you the future of army tactics yet, my king.
You needn't show me the future. I know everything about it already.
Of course, my king. I would never doubt your wisdom. It will be others who see our destiny in the achievements of my men.
General Narem, would you like to know your future?
If you have words for me, Lord, I shall hear them.
No need for hearing. Just touch the talisman.
Around your neck?
Yes. This is a special bone from a special man. A man who discovered something he probably should have kept quiet about. It gives me great power. See me again in 50 years and you will see just what it can do. Touch it and receive its blessing.
As you wish, my king.
So then, what do you see?
I don't understand. A man? A machination? I know not, my king.
You will know in time. Return to your men and deliver me more victories. And more talismans.
There we go then, we took the place without any issue. The issue we'll have though is that I can't give this place over to the Seleucids as I had originally planned, Because of that rule where you can only have one region trade per turn, that means we're going to end up hanging on to the settlement for a turn, actually breaking one of the challenge run rules about occupying territory outside of Armenia. I actually broke it before, but that time it was occupying a ruin, so it had no functional difference. This time it's an actual somewhat intact place, so we are going to falsely make some money that we're not allowed off this capture, although it will also punish us, as we'll see. Now I'm in the faction store because I discovered that some random tribe up here that I'm at war with wouldn't mind being my client state if I give them loads of money. So there we go, I make the purchase, and now we've got a puppet state a very, very long way away that extends our puppet territory all the way up to the sea at the top of the map. We just control pretty much the whole steppe right now. It's looking pretty good. In fact, if we open up the tactical map view thing, we can see the actual extent of the coalition. The blue area is what's allied to us, which includes our puppet states. So all of that is the coalition. It's probably about half the total map right now, although a lot of the stuff in the top right is just open space with nothing in it, but still it looks pretty impressive. Definitely need to get rid of the blemish that is Bactria down there in the bottom right, so we'll focus on that. And also, while I was in the mood, I bought some more stuff. Some other tribe was willing to join the coalition if I threw them some money, so now we do control the entire northern border of the map and everything to the north of us. That's looking pretty good. Then I investigated a Dacian tribe that I had contact with, and I could also buy them. This is getting pretty outrageous, so we now have Dacia as well in the coalition. We're starting to push into Europe here. The smaller factions to the north and south didn't want to be bought out, as it turns out, but maybe that just means I don't have enough money, and with my income, we'll soon have a lot more money. So while in this case I was unable to get the sale, it might still happen. So yes, things are getting pretty outrageous when it comes to territory purchases. We just expanded our territory a whole lot this turn without actually doing anything. That's very nice. Here's the punishment I mentioned. The fact that I occupy this random city out here means I now have a famine because I don't have the food to upkeep it, so we need to get rid of it as soon as possible. The plan to adopt Bakru has gone through, as we see here, and I decided that I'd also try and adopt Arsiuka, just because having lots of influential people in the royal family is good for our power balance, so might as well at least attempt it. You might also notice for some reason he has a Greek-style portrait sometimes in there. He's a glitched character of some kind. I decided to switch around the roles of Manuakapi and Naram Suim, so that Naram is on the front lines and might actually see some action with those Roman-style troops, so we can see what they can do. And Manuakapi can just wander back towards the centre of the empire, ready to do whatever comes up. Now for Bakru, the situation in Alexandria has become a lot better than it was last turn. The balance bar's completely reversed. It looks like a fleet from the Ptolemaic kingdom came down and defeated the Taushamu fleet. Now things are going to be pretty easy because they can attack at the same time as us, and that garrison doesn't stand a chance. We'll take the win, but again we're going to have the region trade problem. I've just traded away that Alexandria over in the east to the Seleucids, so now this real Alexandria is going to have to be occupied by us this turn, and we'll break the rules again. I guess the coalition's changing, so the rules at this point, although only a little bit. I thought that Arsiuka might as well chase after this Illyrian army that's moving down into Greece. It's going to take us a while to actually catch up with those guys, but eventually we'll see a battle with them over there. In the meantime, we're back to the faction store, because I've got some more money now, so I can afford to buy this Germanic tribe. This is truly a very effective way of playing the game. It's much easier than actually conquering. Just get absolutely loads of money, and then the AI will actually consider outrageous deals like just surrendering to you randomly even though they've never heard of you. And the more client states, the more puppet states you can get, the bigger your income is, which makes it even easier to continue doing that. So, onward and upward, let's buy the world.
There's no need to worry about them. Those Germans are a delegation heading to Armenia, I believe. They will sail from Athens. I heard huge gilded ships were being prepared for something. Here's the answer to that mystery. What do they possibly think they can gain through such embassy? Wait, look closely. Those Germans wear jeweled thorax armor. All of them. Armor fit for a king. So that was their price, was it? We can only imagine what it took to win the Dacians over. What are we to think of this? We've been working hard in the name of our country and king, and here we see that the way to riches and fame is to simply not be Armenian. We get no plunder from our foes or rewards from our masters, and the whole coalition pays for these bribes in return for poison-laced platitudes from distant savages. Let's go. We still have work to do, though what purpose there is in doing it eludes me still.
Now we've got ourselves a good old-fashioned field battle with the Illyrians. Things started off when I sent some horse archers to go attack the enemy's Javcav, and that aggroed the entire enemy army, so they're going to come at me even though I am the attacker, which is handy because it means less stuff to actually do. The enemy's cav followed my cav back to our lines. Looked like for a second they weren't going to charge into my spear wall, but they are going to do it. Good for them. I think they do eventually fall back here after taking some losses. They don't completely commit suicide, but that's a good start for us. I'm deploying my shock cav to try and drive away all of those Jav cav on the right, and I'm going to do something similar on the left, but it's going to be much less effective. I'm sending this one unit of cataphracts to chase away those 2 units of Jav cav, and they very quickly find themselves surrounded out there. At the same time, the melee that's going to go on isn't too much to talk about really. They just charged a whole load of spearmen into my whole load of spearmen, and both sides will just be duking it out for a while. The actual battle will be decided in all of those little engagements going on around the edges, including this one where, as I said, my cataphracts got surrounded by the enemy's Javcav. I wanted to pull away because cataphracts aren't that good in melee for their class, and Javcav are quite good in melee for their class. You can see very quickly we're losing men in this unit. We start losing the melee surprisingly rapidly, but after a while we'll stop losing men because the enemy are going to get tired, giving me more time to go and support them. I'm sending my horse archers to go and try to clear that up. Meanwhile, on the right, things went a lot better. It was the same deal, we just had more shock cav, and we were able to rout the enemy and push them away. I started folding around on the right with some spare infantry, including this pike phalanx, but once again I'm disappointed by their performance. They edge into this battle and the pike phalanx is immediately broken, and we end up in a disadvantageous melee with the enemy's noble heavy infantry. Doesn't necessarily matter because all I'm really doing here is locking the enemy down so I can throw javelins at them, although this has its own issues. The javelin men tend to target the front of the enemy unit, which is where the front of my unit is as well, so we take a load of losses on the pike phalanx, but hopefully we killed more of the enemy. At the same time, my shock cav have now got right behind the enemy so we can drive away their limited ranged troops, although some of them were protected by their reserves, and in this case I'm going to fall back from the engagement with the enemy Javcav and fight them further away from their general, hopefully. Here's our trapped cataphract unit. It's still gradually being killed, and our horse archers are shooting arrows into the melee, which, as I think I've mentioned before, is okay against cataphracts because their armor's so high that shooting arrows into a general blob of people will kill the enemy more than it kills you. Probably, anyway. We take out the guys that were engaging that pike phalanx, so now we're going to be ready to actually rear attack the enemy's main line and start clearing this battle up one blob at a time. Plus, once our cav are done chasing around the enemy's Javcav, we can do the same thing the fast way, hitting the enemy in the back with cataphract charges. And while they may not be very good in melee, they are very good at just running into people. We kill loads of that unit at once, off they go. That's more of our men freed up to start peeling the line away. The enemy's reserves, who were drawn over to the right side of the battlefield, have been taken out by my outflanking force, and here the fight on the far left is finally ending. My cataphracts have routed, so has one of the Javcav units, but you can see the other one's basically dead as well, so just peppering arrows all over the place did solve the situation, sort of, and we'll win that bit of the engagement eventually. We just lost a whole load of cataphracts in the process. Not the full unit though, they did rout before they were totally destroyed, which means we won't lose the unit and we'll get the guys back for free one day. Meanwhile, we've got some killing to do. The cataphracts do some cycle charging, and in this case the enemy unit looks like it's routing, but it's actually just moving away. They're trying to move to a different part of the line, but because they're kind of moving across the front of my line, they're going to lose loads of men due to the whole you can't have any melee defense stat while you move thing in Attila, which is the same reason cavalry aren't all that effective. Anyway, we continue just hitting the line all the way down. Now here's the end. We're at the far left, hitting the last few units. Off they go, and this is bringing the battle to an end. They did actually detach some spearmen to go after my horse archers, which was clever of them, although it doesn't work because we can just skirmish away. The idea is there at first, at least. All we had to do then was take out the enemy general, who fought on to the end even after everything else routed, and that finally brings the battle to an end. A decisive victory for us, not an especially important one. We're not fighting over anything. I just wanted this army to stop rampaging around Greece, attacking our allies. So we've done some good work for the coalition here. And while we did take some losses, it wasn't a perfectly clean battle. We didn't lose any units, which, as I said, means technically you didn't lose anything, because everyone else in the army will just respawn over time. And there's always the take on warriors thing to keep in mind as well. We get 300 or so guys back from the 800 or so we just lost, so it's actually not as bad as it looks. And we can go on to completely destroy the enemy army to make it a very fine trade indeed.
Friends, let me tell you of what I have seen in the baked Southlands. It is a strange world, lacking in life but overflowing with precious things. Gold, weapons, forts, and craftsmen are to be found everywhere. But what good is knowing that to us? Well, I have found their secret. The world there is ruled by a man with the touch of the gods. He is known as the Chosen King, leader of all the tribes in an area greater than you could walk across in a lifetime. I met with him in a grand palace in a sweaty valley called the Land of Eden. It was a place where men and women could change their faces and appear as one another. It was a place where gold ran down staircases like spilled water, and songs of their guardian spirit Ahura seemed to sound from the very stones themselves. There, the Chosen King showed me the future. With his magic, I saw our people standing tall, with crafts and arms greater than any of the weapons of metal or magic I saw in that distant kingdom. He explained that to live in the future I saw, all we need to do is join the Chosen King's world coalition. In return, he will march warriors beyond count against our enemies, and see that stairs of gold and bows of fire arise here as well. I agreed to this pact. Take my head if it was all just a dream.
I'm still having a few issues with the supply system. Over the last few turns I've had this one army that's been lacking supplies, and I've tried all kinds of things to get them back to being supplied. Standing still, standing in forests, trying the different stances, but it just never happened. So here, our original army, the Thunder of Artaxias, is going to have to just disappear because they were about to mutiny due to lack of integrity, something that basically never happens in Attila, so that was a rare thing to see. But it's not a huge deal. We'll just make another Thunder of Artaxias using the old Reinstate Legacy feature, and this time it's going to be ruled by apparently one of Manua Capi's many clones that he seems to be creating back here in the capital. I wouldn't put it past him. Now, back to the shops. I realise we can buy a couple more factions up here in Germany, or in the Norse lands in fact. Just have to find the right amount of money, and more territory will be ours. This has really no benefit to us other than slightly increasing our income, which at this point isn't really a benefit because it's so high we can't spend it on anything except buying factions. I very quickly buy 2 factions up here, as we saw, so there we go, we've got a bit more territory for no reason up on the other side of the map. Now our Siuka is going to go and besiege the Illyrians again. I wasn't really going to bother doing this, but I realised that my allies are actually coming to help. The coalition is very slowly mobilising and bringing armies over to this part of the map, so we may be able to overwhelm the enemy once more guys show up. Got a quick auto-resolve to do down in Egypt, Bakru just finishing off the remnants of the Tab Shamui faction. I can actually subjugate them here, so they will still exist, just as my puppet state. And there we go, the Upper Nile is somewhat secured. There's still the Egyptian nobles, and there's the Kingdom of Kush to the south controlling the rest of the Nile. And there's one easy way to make those guys no longer be a problem. We throw some money down to the south, and now the Kingdom of Kush is our puppet state. We just gained a whole load of territory there. That's good to see. Then there's the Egyptian nobles. We get the checkbook out, and very quickly we're going to have all of the Nile secured, along with a bit of Libya that they, for some reason, have. This is looking pretty good. The coalition continues to expand, although we are eventually going to run into some resistance, just not quite yet. Thank you very much for watching, and very special thanks to all of the Officially Devon patrons. We'll continue to buy our way across the world, but we'll also be finally starting the war I wanted with our big rival Carthage in the next part of Wings of Eden.